As a community musician, we are always thinking, how is it that we're going to be able to put people together more? And in devised times as these ones, there is a date that for me was particularly relevant, and that was the 14th of June of 2017. That was the day that the Grenfell Tower burned. And it happened that I used to work very close to Grenfell Tower 1 day a week in another adjacent building with people who were homeless or ex-homeless and making music. 72 people died in the Grenfell tragedy. I couldn't believe it when I saw it on the television. We were all shocked. But I was even more shocked when I received the following day a phone call asking me, Maria, can you just go there and lead the singing for the candlelight vigil that we're having? I think I was not really prepared for what I was going to experience, but I said, yes, of course, I'll do what I can. I printed some photocopies. I went there the following day into the church, Latimer Church. And the church was taken by volunteers. There were people giving food, there were boxes of storage, there was people giving clothes, and everybody in the neighborhood was being put together and working together and cooperated in a way I never saw before. In between the tragedy, I could see another thing happening, people rushing up and down, people really nervous, but people really wanting to do their best, same as I, with my songs. What I witnessed was what is called the heroic phase. The heroic phase is when, after a disaster, this is considered by experts in disaster fields who have determined which are the emotional phases of disaster, the psychosocial response to disasters and exposure to distress. And that is, first, there is a phase of heroic phase that goes up. Everybody's put on their energy. Everybody who has survived is helping, and they are, putting all their effort to deal with the catastrophe. That heroic moment leads to a phase which there is a lot of unity. That is considered the honeymoon phase. People who have survived consider that they are very lucky to have survived. There's a kind of joy inside their tragedy. And after that period of honeymoon, there's a distant. There is a moment in which people is disillusioned. They remember what happened. They feel they were not given what they should be given. And after that distant, they will be coming up and coming down of anniversaries, moments in which they will feel better as a community, worse, which is part of the reconstruction. And now during COVID, they have identified one more, which is the phase of sandbar. And sandbar would be when you are surrounded by the disaster, like you're in the ocean, but your feet can touch the sand. So you're not totally lost. There is something there that you can hold to. So this is where we are now in the middle of still COVID disaster. So I'm going to share some links down there where you can see some photos of how this was. I was prepared to go to the church and read and give the papers for people to sing my songs. And they said, no, it's not here. It's out there in the street. I was literally pushed outside and I see hundreds and hundreds of people that I had to lead in singing, for which I was just overwhelmed of the situation and not really feeling ready. But of course, we are in the heroic moments. I put all my heroic energy, and even if the 2 days later I had pain all over my body, I pull out my energy and I did that. So we sang Amazing Grace. They wanted to sing Three Little Birds. They played Other Times Are Changing. And I've never experienced something like that because of the unity of the people and because people were doing only two things in that candlelight vigil. They were either singing or crying. There was no other middle term. And we know that singing is the activity that will put people together faster than any other activity. I have also not seen before an interfaith ceremony. It was the first time I experienced. So there was the Imam, there was the Sikh, there was the Christian, there was the Jews, but there was not representatives of pagan communities, there was not representatives of minorities, and there were not representatives of atheism. and agnosticism, which I think, well, but we were doing what we could with what we had in that moment. It was a big amount of people united for one cause. When 2 years later, I wanted to do something that was ritual and that was celebratory and that we put people together, I remember this experience, and I thought that bringing people together from different religions and no religions would be a way to put people together, especially if we find something that everybody could agree on. And that thing that we can all agree on is nature. We all agree there's a spring, there is a summer, there is an autumn, and there is a winter. Even people who believe that the earth is flat, they believe on this. So that would be not much of a problem if, instead of asking people to hold back and not to say what they do or to what they believe, not to be offensive to others, on the opposite, we encourage people to say, how is it that you see it? What is it that you think? And to exchange that with the others. So that what for one person is one altar, for another is an installation, and for another would be a centerpiece. People would be bringing their objects and they will be putting together in these kind of figures in the middle of a circle. There would be meditation, there would be discussion, there would be drumming, body percussion, seasonal food. I love colors and the idea of attuning the colors that you're wearing to the season, but also I would bring fabrics so we could have more of that. And then we got joined by the Reverend June Boyce-Stillman, who wanted to put the bit of storytelling into that. So she would maybe give a little bit more Christian perspective to the stories of Candlemas. And I will be talking about Imbolc, and another person will say, yeah, well, we have festivals in other different religions in which we celebrate that we're coming back to the light, or that we're coming to a less amount of light. How does this influence, and how can this be something related to activism? How can this promote any kind of activism? It doesn't directly, but it is about going to the very root of it, which is being more in touch. We're not just singing for fun or to make pretty sounds. We are doing a celebration of nature. It is a way to introduce concepts for reflection together and individual, and to create a sense of unity and integration of all different faiths that are coming together. It is more about how we're doing something that means that we are learning the songs really slow if we're singing, for example, and we don't need to learn something that is very complex. Some of the pieces that I wrote for this, and as every year I like to write pieces for this. One moment, because there's some kind of noise coming in. Okay, that's it. I particularly liked writing it by hand, every activity that we have been doing in a beautiful notebook. The notebook has, as you see, is my book of seasons, and I'm keeping every activity, every pieces of fabric that we use, things that we'll be using, doing with people, lots of pages in blank, so every year can start again. That was for, yes, some orthogonal thing, central pieces, people doing the activity, song lyrics, winter thing, candle stuff, as you can see, so that every year I can start again, and I hope that one day I will have it completed. Every piece that I wrote for this should normally be very short, and some of them were as short as haikus, like a winter song that I did once that was like, dance in the snow, dance little dots of light, little dots of pretty powder snow, a smile through the eyes. So really short and many times meditative, or really happy and with movement and dance. It also promotes the consideration of the relationship that we have with our own body, the relationship that we have with the others, and the relationship we have with nature. And because of this, I'm going to play one of the songs because I want to. And There is a middle beat, which is the chorus is a lot of chanting. It will be repeated a lot more times, but I don't have all the time to do the whole thing. Originally, I wrote it for four voices, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, like I would do with one of my choirs. And if I do it in any of these celebratory events, we just chant it, people just the way they want. The song was made for one of my groups in London. And I realized that many times in these kind of nature-related songs, we say things that people in the cities don't really do. So in autumn, it is traditionally to sing a lot about the harvest. And then I think, okay, I've never harvested. Have you? But we still can relate to a lot of things that have to do with autumn time, especially in this case, it's celebratory, it's counting my blessings, and it's counting, realizing how of all the good things that we already have. So the song is called Autumn Equinox Song for the Urban People, and it goes like this. I am grateful for the apples, I am grateful for the grain. I have never really harvested, but I'm grateful for the rain. And I know about battles, and I know about peace, as I step into the woodland where I found my release. Counting my blessings, counting my blessings, as the leaves fall on the town. I'm counting my blessings, and then a second voice will do counting my blessings, counting my blessings, as the leaves fall on the town. I'm counting my blessings, and goes on. And if you want the complete lyrics, contact me and I'll send those to you. We need to start rethinking the way we live, and this is already overdue. We need to start to think in a different way of what we used to, or we face the ultimate disaster. This is best achieved with a sense of unity, and the arts have the potential to create that emotional commitment to a cause. So if we need change, we all can become agents and promoters of this change, each one of us from the activity that we know how to do best. Now, in my case, it's community singing, creativity, and talking with people and to people. So this is what I did. And I hope to build my groups up again, hopefully for spring 2022, but I don't know where. So if you have an idea of where can I do this, I really appreciate it and start to put my brain to work. When COVID took all this away, I did one workshop or one spring in Zoom. That was nice. And then we did another one last summer, which was not exactly, but it was around the time of summer solstice, which also was nice. And I wrote music specifically for that situation that could be sung in Zoom, which means songs that they don't need that people go together, and that will work even if people are not singing at the same time, synchronized. But it would be so lovely to be able to meet again and do this again, and have the opportunity to share this in person with other activities. So yes, this is what I want us to do, that we find our unique way to inspire resilient communities and awareness from that sacred place of purpose that lays in each one of us. Let's move.